Hey everybody, Dr. Q here, and welcome back to the Lead with Love podcast with Dr. Q. And I'm going to tell you. Oh, wait. We talk about love, leadership, and real life lessons that actually matter. And if you're here right now, I'm going to tell you right now, it is not an accident because I am barely here. This is episode 31. We've got 52 episodes to go. It's 11 o'clock at night. I got to get this posted by 12 o'clock. This is discipline because I'm exhausted. My head hurts and I just want to go to sleep. It's been a long day, but I'm here. I'm in my mom's real estate office. So if you need a house in Dallas, Texas, Laney Scott Realtors is where you should go. My sister is going to be a first year teacher this year. I was helping her with her room. Anyway, there's a lot happening, but I'm still here. So I'm going to start with a rock band because that's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling real rock bandish. And I don't know if you know, but Led Zeppelin, 1969, wrote a song called Communication Breakdown because we're talking about communication. And the lyrics go like this. I'm not going to sing, but he says communication breakdown. It's always the same. I'm having a nervous breakdown. It drives me insane. Now, I know you're like, you really are losing it. Dr. Q, why are you out here quoting Led Zeppelin at 11 o'clock at night on a leadership podcast? But yes, I am. Because those lyrics, they describe more organizations than I can count. Communication breaks down. It is always the same and it drives everybody, the leaders, the team, the whole culture, a little bit insane. And here's the thing I need to say right at the top of this episode, take two, by the way. And I say it in my book because I believe it is the most important, one of the most important things that I've ever written, that communication cures cancer. The toxic cancer in organizations of confusion, rumors, and distrust. The cancer that eats away at culture very quietly, invisibly, until one day you look around and wonder, why doesn't no one trust each other? Why are the best people leaving? And why is every meeting that we're in feel like a performance rather than a real, authentic conversation? That cancer, guess what? Communication cures it every single time. But I also need to confess something before we go any further. Something that makes me very, very uncomfortable. But that's where you find growth, is in the discomfort. Something that I write about in chapter 5 of the book, because leadership, I believe, demands this level of honesty. Y'all, I struggle with communication. Yep. People that know. The person who literally wrote a book on leading with love, built the entire framework around it and communication, it's one of my challenges. And it took me years to truly admit that and hold myself accountable for it, because who wants to admit that the thing that they teach other people to do is the thing that they struggle with? But Brene Brown, my favorite quote, always says that who you are is how you lead. Flipping adds that the constraints of the leaders are the constraints of the organization. So if I'm going to ask each one of you to look in your mirror, then guess what? I've got to look at mine. So that's what I'm going to do in this deep dive on communication. So welcome to the communication deep dive. We're going to dive into me, the C in just care. Over the next 4 weeks, we are going to go all the way in and what it means to communicate like a leader who loves the people that they serve, because we are staring. We're going to start with, we're going to start with the why. Why communication breaks down. What does it cost when it breaks down? When does it? And what changes when we decide to do it differently? All right, so let's get into it. I'm going to try not to be long because I got to get this posted before midnight. Episode 31. George Bernard Shaw, he said that something that I think every leader in the whole entire universe needs to tattoo like in the eyelids if they can, for sure on the forehead, that the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it's actually taken place. The illusion that it has taken place. You think you've communicated, you sent the email, you sent the text, the communication happened, right? You know, you made the announcement in the staff meeting, the communication happened, right? You posted it in the group chat, communication happened, right? You mentioned it while you were passing through on a Tuesday. You communicated, yeah? Did you? Did you communicate? Because here is what research says. Research says, according to Gallup, that 70% of team engagement is attributable to the manager. 70%, which means that the way the leader communicates or doesn't communicate with the people that they lead is directly shaping whether they are invested in the work or checking out while physically just kind of there. That is not small, y'all. That's not small. And that is the majority of organizational culture sitting inside your communication choices as a leader. Mhm. And here is what I think happens when communication begins to break down. No, not what I think. I know this happens. People begin to fill the silence with assumptions. I'm not telling you what I think, I'm telling you what I know because I've done it. And I need you to understand that assumptions are typically never charitable. When people do not know what is happening, they don't think, I'm sure everything is fine. Like it's all good. Like I'm sure everything is great. No, they think something's wrong and nobody's telling us. They think decisions are being made without us, without thinking about us. They think my leader either doesn't know what's happening or doesn't think that I deserve to know what's happening. And from that fear, from that vacuum comes the cancer, the rumors, the disconnection, the distrust, the disengagement, and eventually the departure. And here is something that I say directly in the book, that communication is a leadership decision and an act of love. And done well, when done well, it builds trust, clarity, and culture. But neglected, it creates confusion, fear, and division. When you get your book, I want you to read that a few times, okay? Because communication is a leadership decision and an act of love. Every single time that you choose to communicate clearly, you are choosing your people. Every time you go silent when transparency was needed, you are also making a choice, and your people can feel both. And here is the hard truth: the rumors that are running through the organization um, right now are not a people problem, they're a communication problem. And the communication problem has a name, and it lives in the leader's office. That's the problem, because the leader is the one that carries the choice of what communication looks like. Okay, so I'm going to tell y'all a personal story. Right? Let's get into Dr. Q. There's this wonderful man, and he's kind, successful, consistent, everything that you can even think of that you would want in a partner. And the partner and communication was his greatest challenge. And when things got hard, he went quiet. He retreated into himself, processed internally, and reappeared when he had worked through it. Which, the truth is, that is a completely valid way to be wired. There's nothing actually wrong with that, except I did not know that. And his silence wrecked me every single time, because I always assumed the absolute worst. Something I said, something I did, something was wrong. And he was just not telling me. And I would spiral silently, quietly, internally, but completely. And then when he would resurface as if nothing had happened, I would be days deep in an anxiety loop that I had created completely in my own head. But here is the part that I had to own myself, is that I had my own deficits: poor phone etiquette, delayed responses, long text messages that should have been a phone call. I rarely initiated contact. And he probably felt the exact same way that I felt: unprioritized, uncared for, isolated. And neither one of us intended to cause harm, but without communication, how could we know? How will we know that that was what was happening? Studies show that the number one issue in every single relationship of all kinds is communication, and the most common to break down: failing to express how we need to be communicated with. We expect people to just kind of read our minds. We get hurt when they can't read our minds, and then we communicate our hurt through probably silence, which then creates more confusion. And does does that make any sense? Like, we want communication, but we get silent? No. We're literally using the absence of the cure for the problem to respond to the disease. And our relationship could have thrived. It could have been really good with just a few intentional shifts, clarifying our communication needs and expressing what made us feel loved and valued and seen. And I think about that now, like in every relationship and in every organization that I lead and coach in, because the same dynamic that broke down between the two people who cared about each other is playing out every single day on teams. People who care about the mission, but who have never told each other how they need to receive communication or receive information. Leaders who care about their people, but who have never asked, hey, how do you need me to communicate with you? It's just a question, but it's a powerful question. And people are not mind readers. And love, real action based love, guess what it does? It communicates. Yeah. It communicates. Communication communicates that you care. That's a Qism. And it's in the book, but it's true. Communication communicates that you care. When you communicate, that is how you show care. It is how we let people that we lead and that we serve know that they matter. So, what does that actually look like in practice? Let me tell you, and I'm not keeping you long because, listen, it's been a day. I probably look like it too. What happens is it looks like transparency before the rumor starts, not waiting until the decision is finalized and then dropping it on people without context. No, bringing your team into the process, or at minimum telling them what you can when you can, and being honest about what you cannot share yet and why you can't share it. Just be honest. I'm like this. I need honest communication. I don't have to like it, but be honest. I'll take that. And it looks like, listen, communicating in a way that your people receive it too. Like, everyone doesn't receive communication in the same way. You can't do it what's convenient for you, because some people need the email and the conversation. Some people need to ask questions before they can fully absorb the information. Some people need a one-on-one clarity after the group announcement. Some people need just, letting them know in passing. But communication with love means being willing to say whatever thing more than once in more than one way, and until it actually lands on the people. It looks like addressing the elephant in the room. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The thing that everyone is whispering about in the hallways that nobody has said out loud in the meeting. The tension. Y'all, you know exactly what I mean. The tension, that's kind of been building in the building, building up in the building for weeks. The question that everyone has, but nobody feels safe asking. A leader who communicates with love names the elephant, not to create drama, but to create clarity, because clarity is kindness, and silence on hard things is almost never kind. Your action step this week is, I want you all to, it's going to be simple, but it's going to require you to be honest. Ask yourself, what does my team not fully know right now that they need to know? And then go tell them, not through an email, go tell them in person if it's possible, with some context, with some honesty, and with an invitation for questions. You are going to be surprised. Okay? Before I let you go, Eight Heart Centered Strategies for Exceptional Leadership is available on Amazon, and the Audible's up, but I gotta make a few edits to it. But it's on Audible now. Yay! Sorry. Communication is where we are living for the next 4 weeks. Everything that we are gonna cover in this series goes deeper in the book. And this chapter includes the full communication framework, plus tools that you can implement immediately. All right. Next week, we are going to talk about how to communicate like you actually care, and the difference between surface level communication and that kind of communication that builds real trust. So I don't want you to miss it. Don't miss it. Um, I think that's it. I think it's it. It doesn't have to be the same communication. Not in your organization, not on your team, not in the relationship, you know, that matters the most to you, but it will continue to break down communication as long as we as leaders treat communication as a task to check off rather than a decision to lead with love. So, here's what I need you to carry out today. Communication out of today, like carry out of this whole podcast. That communication is not just information transfer. It's a relationship. It is trust. It is the daily, consistent, intentional act of saying to the people that you lead and that you love that you matter enough for me to keep you informed. You matter enough for me to say the hard thing. You matter enough for me to ask how you need to hear from me and then actually do it that way. That is communication. That is love. And it starts with you. And it starts with me too. It starts with us. So thank you all so much for joining me in the Lead with Love podcast, y'all. This is discipline. I'm on the struggle bus tonight, but I'm here because I love you. But if today's message, kind of hit home to you, good. Share with a leader whose organization is running on rumors and silence, because the cure is closer than they think. Don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss episode 32 next week. I can't believe we're at 32. How to communicate like you actually care is what we're going to talk about next week. So remember, leading with love is not a one-time decision. It is a daily choice. So until next time, lead with